For 99% of human history, we weren't the masters of Earth. We were the prey. But we survived. Not through strength, but through the art of defense. The cave bear owned the mountains, claimed the very places that we needed to survive, especially in the winter. Imagine the same cave. The air is thick, you're crouching in the dark, your breath becomes shallow gasps. You cannot fight this thing, one swap and it would end you. Well, our survival was about the 9 Texas. We used fire as a biological barrier. Not just for light, but a wall of smoke that the bear's sensitive nose couldn't handle. So we turned the entrance of the cave into a burn zone, creating a psychological wall. We learned that the bear instinct to avoid fire was stronger than its hunger. We didn't outfight the bear, we outsmarted it. But fire only works when you know where the enemy is. So what happens when the predator doesn't draw and you can't see? It's a shadow in leaves. The leopard is the ultimate ambush predator. It vanishes. It doesn't charge. It waits in the canopy watching every move you make till you let your guard down. Imagine this. The forest goes silent. The birds stop. The wind dies. And then you feel a gaze in your back. You are being hunted by a ghost. So, how do you defend against that? Where the ancient human used something called aposematic defense, warning signals. We didn't hide, we used synchronized singing to create a wall of sound that signaled to the leopard, we see you, and we are a coordinated group. We also built the domas, a thorny enclosure made of acacia branches. These aren't walls to stay in, but scratch pads for the predators. The thorns made it physically painful for the leopard to enter the safe zone. But you need more than a song to stop a predator who, the first second he was born, is hunting. The smilodon had 20 centimeters of surgical precision in its mouth, but those teeth were glass. They could snap if they hit a bone. So imagine this. The hot, the metallic breath of a cat the size of a pony on your back, breathing in your neck. You can't run. You can only hope it doesn't pin you. The cat had to pin you completely still to deliver a throat slash. Our defense was a wall of wood, 2.5 meters wooden spears. We didn't use them to hunt, but we used them as a phalanx. By standing shoulder to shoulder, we created a forest of sharpened points. We turned ourselves from a collection of individuals into a single, spiked organism. We didn't fight the cat, we just made it impossible for the cat to reach us. A spear of wall is great and all, but what do you do when a predator doesn't ambush you, but simply outruns you? The terror bird. 10 feet of feathers and a beak that could crack your skull like an egg. There was nowhere to hide from this predator that could outrun a horse. You can hear the rhythm. A massive talons hitting the earth behind you. Your lungs are burning. Your legs are giving out. How do you beat a bird that's faster than you? We used something called a terrain manipulation. We lured these giants into a squeeze, narrow canyons, dense and thick. Their size and speed were useless here, so we turned the landscape into a trap, using the environment to strip their only advantage. Slowing down a bird is one thing, but there are predators that doesn't need speed. They have the ultimate weapon, the dark. The cave lion, a 500 kilogram of shadow that could track you from Europe to Alaska. Well, imagine this. The forest goes silent, the birds stop. You feel a weight of gaze on your back. What do you do against this predator? We use something called temporal partitioning. We became strictly diurnal. We owned the sun, they owned the moon. We pushed our camp into an open area, creating a dead zone, where a strict predator had nowhere to hide. We also practiced mutual tolerance. We learned that the lions prioritized lean muscle, while we prioritized fatty marrow. By splitting the carcass, we turned deadly rivalry into a tense, silent truce. A lion is a nightmare. The real terror begins when the predators start talking to each other. The dire wolf's greatest weapon it was the pack, the coordination, surround and attack. A howl, then another. They are closing the circle. The light of your fire is the only thing separating you from 100 pounds of teeth and hunger. Fire was our ultimate defense. It wasn't just for the warmth. It was a wall of heat that the wolf's primitive brain were hardwired to fear. We turned our campsites into a fortress of light, and eventually we used the ultimate defense. We recruited different species of wolf. We turned a competitor into a partner, creating the first dogs to guard. We were the apex, but there was one last ghost in the forest. A giant that didn't even need to hunt us. The Gigantopithecus, 10 feet tall, 300 kilograms, a living skyscraper. A roar that you don't just hear, you feel it in your chest. Against this giant, we used a sentry system. We associated with a medium-sized ungulate, like an ancestral impalas. These animals have an accurate sense of smell. When the impala bolted, we knew the giant was coming. We didn't fight it, we simply just moved. We used the animal instincts as our early warning radar, ensuring that we were never surprised.